Digital Marketing Part 2, Technical Terms. Here are the learning outcomes for this section. We are going to familiarize ourselves with core technical terms in digital, understand the role of technology architecture, and put digital marketing into its operational context. So let's start by looking at technical terms. First of all, we have audience and targeting. Obviously, this would come with all marketing best practice, but the need to recognize that your online audience is likely to be different from your general audience is an important one. For example, you may have great sales of your walking sticks in shops, but the elderly, who would form the majority of your market for that product, may not have access to or understand how to use a computer. So we might be wasting our time putting loads of money into online marketing for those particular people. That's a rather crude and obvious example, but it is important to note that your audience will respond to different types of content across different channels, and therefore you need to consider your audience as an online audience in particular. And this brings us on to the next item. Content. Every marketer needs to understand the value of content and approach content as though content is king. Having good, relevant and fresh content is what is important, and also keeping it updated, which helps with search engine optimization around Google and similar platforms. Search engine optimization, or SEO, is a fundamental part of digital marketing. So all digital marketers need to understand the key elements of basic SEO. Keyword research, so understanding what are the specific words that specific audiences look for. On-page SEO, which is optimizing the performance of the words on the page, the titles and the links. Technical SEO, which involves the actions on the different pages, which all have codes attached to them, and these codes need to be appropriate for the action and match to the back end and the front end of the application. And also link building. One of the measures of your site's popularity is the amount of links that exist on your website on the internet. So we need to know what each of these are and why they're important. Pay-per-click, or PPC as it's commonly referred to, often forms a fundamental part of any digital marketing strategy. Quite simply, this is when the business is required to pay only when a user clicks on a link for a specific item. And most people try to use SEO and PPC in conjunction, making sure that they work in synergy. An example of this in practice can be found from the baby nutrition company Aptamil, who launched a product called Pro Nutra. There were some issues at first because there were many other companies on the internet who had the same name as Pro Nutra. So when people might be looking for the product made by Aptamil, they would be coming across lots of different unrelated things. In this instance, it made sense for the business to target the term Pro Nutra via pay-per-click rather than through search engine optimization, because therefore they were guaranteed a listing at the top of the page. Once the Pro Nutra page started to see more traffic as a result of the pay-per-click strategy, they could build the value from there using search engine optimization to target the non-brand terms they were interested in. Pay-per-click is bought traffic, not earned traffic, so it's direct, targeted and strategic. Another important term to understand is affiliates and affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing is the process of earning a commission by promoting other people's or other companies' products. You find a product you like, you promote it to others, and you earn a piece of the profit for each sale that you make. Specifically in terms of Web 2.0, websites and services based on Web 2.0 concepts, things like blogging and social media, have impacted the affiliate marketing world. These platforms allow improved communication between merchants and affiliates, and they've also opened specific affiliate marketing channels to people like bloggers, writers, and independent website owners. Contextual ads allow publishers with lower levels of web traffic to place affiliate ads on their websites. So this is a network form of marketing. It's evolved through the specific features that we associate with Web 2.0. And you can see examples of this in companies like YouTube. YouTube allows video makers to embed advertisements through Google's affiliate network. We're all familiar with the concept of social media and most probably are all users of social media, but recognizing its power for digital marketing is important. Social media is all about targeting, what demographic groups use it and how and when and why. Understanding the marketing strengths of our different platforms and thinking about things like pacing, content and objectives of social activity. The Olympic skier Julia Mancuso was a prolific user of social media during her career and had sponsorships with companies such as GoPro, and she would deliberately schedule and pace her online activity on social media to engage with different audiences that lived in different time zones. She also recognized that if she posted at between 8 and 9 in the morning on the west coast of America, that would get more engagement than she would get that between 10 and 11, because she would catch people when they were commuting to work. And the same goes for posting in different time zones around the world. When we talk about online and digital marketing, it's easy to forget that there is a world of traditional marketing, or what is often referred to as above the line marketing, or ATL. We need to remember that the two are connected. How you merge traditional above the line marketing with online marketing. That's partly a planning exercise, but we need to make sure that we have the measures in place to tie the two together. More and more adverts now have things like search for a key term in the copy or the script, and that's a great way to translate above the line marketing into site visits and ultimately sales conversions. Now let's look at some more specific technical terms. It was not until the mid-1980s that networked computers began significant forays into homes and offices, allowing a fairly small number of enthusiasts, academics, and government employees to exchange basic textual information. Not only did equipment need to become more affordable, the internet needed a serious image change. Perhaps surprisingly, this aesthetic shift was driven not by advances in technology, but by an evolution in language. This new language was Hypertext Markup Language, or HTML, a term you may be familiar with. This was proposed by Tim Berners-Lee in the late 1980s, developed throughout the 1990s, and it became an international standard in the year 2000. HTML provides a near universal and constantly evolving language for writing web pages. Adapted from standard generalized markup language called SGML, the idea was that text could be marked up by a host behind the scenes into categories such as headings, lists, paragraphs, etc., which would then be interpreted and displayed by a piece of software, i.e. a web browser like Google Chrome. These categories are known as tags, pairs of which signal the beginning and end of a particular category of text. For example, open paragraph, once upon a time in Paris, close paragraph. Displays the enclosed text as a new paragraph. Add to this the links that navigate us from page to page, and we have the foundations for entirely new digital standards of expressing and experiencing information. Hypertext Transfer Protocol, or HTTP, was also created by Tim Berners-Lee and was the process used to move the HTML code from a host to an individual internet user, usually called a client. The interconnected hosts and clients were referred to as the World Wide Web, and this convention of using a common language and retrieval method laid the foundations for allowing a global and ever-growing ecosystem of users and developers to be established. Alongside the now familiar HTTP and WWW Internet standards, the spread of HTML was once again facilitated by nuclear research. In 1993, CERN, the European Organisation for Nuclear Research, now better known for their Large Hadron Collider, popularized these standards, which, coinciding with the release of the very user-friendly early web browser called Mosaic, gave many non-experts their first glimpse of an online experience. And this is where we find the conventions of the usual anatomy of a website in our browser. HTTP:// refers to Hypertext Transfer Protocol. www refers to the World Wide Web. We then have the domain name, which is the unique website identifier, and then we have the top-level domain, what ends, if it's .com, .net, .org, and we'll look at that next. Here are some of the common domains that we see at the end of websites, which tell us different and specific information about each site. The most common one, com, stands for commercial, which tells us that this is probably an organization that is looking to make some kind of profit. .org is the opposite. It's an organization that most probably isn't making a profit. .net suggests it's a network. .edu represents education, and usually higher education. K-12 is shorthand for K through 12, which is the primary and secondary education system in America. .gov tells us it's a governmental site. And then we have specific location domains, .uk referring to the United Kingdom, .de referring to Germany. .io refers to Indian Ocean, but has become a common domain handle for startups, so it indicates that this is a digital startup. And .onion is the domain for the dark web. So these domains give us signals. If we take Skyscanner as an example, it's .net. That means that when we buy something, we're not actually buying from that website. Amazon.com is the opposite. We can be sure that we are buying from them. And then we can trust legislation being official if it is legislation with .gov.uk at the end of it, demonstrating that it is a government website from the UK. A key feature of the technology architecture of an advanced digital platform such as Instagram or Amazon is the API, the Application Programming Interface, or the brain of the technology stack. In most digital stacks, there are usually three main structures within the architecture. At the center of the architecture is the Application Programming Interface, the API. This is the central function that gives instructions to the external parts of the digital resource, known as the client side, or more typically the front end, and the internal parts of the resource, the server, often referred to as the back end. The API also needs to control traffic. Activity on your phone will require the API to call information from the server and bring it to your phone in a seamless user experience, or what we usually refer to as the UX. And it will also need to tell the server to update its information on the basis of the activity that has just taken place. And the word architecture is important here. The reason it's important is because marketers making their way in the digital world need to have a working knowledge of the system architecture and the technical features of the businesses they are working in. When we think of traditional architects, we think of probably a slightly minimalist dressed individual with some stylish glasses sitting behind a drawing board thinking up inspiring designs for a building. But the skill of an architect is their combined knowledge of the nature of the ground and soil, the climate of their site, the characteristics of the materials they propose to use, the requirements of sewage, heating and electrical services, as well as the legal and planning laws that will govern their project. They need to hold an awareness of all these different elements in their head before they can think about what their building might actually look like. Digital marketing is much the same. When we think about the client side and how our users will interface with our digital product, we need to understand how the technology will respond and handle that activity. Take a simple thing we all do every day on social media. We like a post from one of our friends. When that feature was introduced on, say, Instagram, it will most likely have been someone on the marketing side of the business who proposed it. But they will then have to have been able to answer many questions in relation to the concept. For instance, when a user likes a post, the first thing we want to be thinking about is what will that activity do? So on Instagram, for the client, that means the little heart is going to be filled red. From a technology point of view, there are immediately some choices to be made within this activity. When you like a friend's post in your phone, the software held on the phone within the app will fill the heart in red. But your phone is also going to need to tell the API that this has happened, and the API is going to tell the server to update the amount of likes held on that post. The API will also know to update the information for anyone else who can see the post using the new number the server now holds. So that number will then be updated on your friend's account to let them know you've liked it. This event will also trigger other settings that are held within the client-side software in the app, such as notifications. The API will also be processing what your activity means for future follow suggestions you receive, what content appears in your feed, and what advertising you may be shown. So a seemingly basic feature on a social media platform has implications for client-side programming, i.e. what software needs to be added or updated on the app to make the new function work instantly for us when we are using the app. This is why we need to update apps from time to time. It has implications for the engineering in the API in terms of server communication, and it affects the information held on the server itself. It also has implications for the algorithms the API applies to user and advertising relationships. So a marketer would need to have working knowledge of this process in their head, as well as knowing the more fundamental marketing case for developing such things on a digital resource. The API has broader implications for marketing as well. When Facebook bought Instagram, they went through a process of integrating the APIs to try and maximize the potential of the merger. Both platforms hold annual conferences. The Facebook conference is called the F8 conference, and Instagram holds the annual DevConf, which are for developers looking to integrate their activities into the APIs. And the benefit to the platforms of this is that they create an ecosystem upon which other businesses thrive, making them fundamental to broader business activities and maximizing their potential. Let's define digital marketing. Digital marketing is the management and execution of marketing using specifically digital electronic technologies and channels to reach markets in a timely, relevant, personal, interactive, and cost-effective manner. It would be unwise to ignore the effects that digital technologies have had upon the marketplace, consumers, and marketing practice in general. The internet has become one of the most important marketplaces for transaction of goods and services. Consumers are also spending more time online. In the space of 10 years, we have more than doubled how much time we spend online, nearly 21 hours a week. We are also becoming more dependent on our mobile devices to access the internet. A survey found that on average, Americans check their mobile phones 150 times a day. That's almost once every 10 minutes. Spending more time online is also affecting the purchase decision process, how we recognize a need and become aware of different options, how we search for information to fulfill that need, and the sources we use to justify our decisions. Purchase channels have also been extended to online retailers such as Amazon or eBay, and there is an increasing opportunity for retailers to tap into mobile channels to market and sell their products to consumers. The features we have looked at in this section relate to digital marketing implementation. They represent the operational and tactical tools that are used to achieve digital marketing objectives, and we can see how digital implementation relates to digital marketing strategy here and all the different features of that digital implementation. The changes that digital has brought have created many opportunities for marketers and the businesses they work for. However, the rapid nature of these changes has also generated important challenges for marketing practice. These challenges can be classified into four main themes. The first, the explosion of data. The second, the rise of social media. The third, shifting consumer demographics, or the digital customer. And finally, the proliferation of channels. And these all tie into the broader marketing strategy. So we can see that we have a digital marketing strategy and digital implementation tactics, but these all relate to our other strategies, such as our brand, our advertisement strategy, and our PR strategy. In summary, there are multiple technical terms that are important to a digital marketer. Audiences, content, SEO, search engine optimization, PPC, pay-per-click, affiliates, social media, above the line and online marketing, and APIs, the application programming interface in a technology stack. We've also seen how digital marketing is founded on technological innovations using coded language and processing, so we need to be familiar with HTML, HTTP, domains, and the information these items give us. We've seen how digital marketing is fundamental to contemporary marketing strategy, and we've seen how digital strategy informs all other areas of marketing. That's the end of this section. Next, we'll be looking at how to evaluate digital resources.